So we are going to start talking today about those parts of the cell, the organelles. Now again, as a reminder, organelles literally means tiny organs. The organelles that are inside of a cell work very much like the organs in your body. Each of your organs has a different function. Your brain does its thing. Your heart, your lungs, your stomach, they each have a job to do to keep you running and working like you're supposed to. Organelles are doing the same thing for the cell. Right? The first organelle we're talking about is the cell membrane. Y'all, it's the outside of the cell. It surrounds the cell and gives it structure, support, and protection. Okay? It allows some things to get in and it keeps some things out. It also allows some things to get out of the cell and keeps other things inside the cell. So that is called selective permeability, when some things can go through it but not other things. Y'all, the cell membrane works a lot like your skin. Okay, you can kind of think of it in that way. Your skin surrounds your entire body and protects it and keeps everything kind of together. That's what the cell membrane is doing for the cell. And it's found in all cells. Then you have the cytoplasm. Again, that's found in all cells, no matter what kind. And it's just the material outside of the nucleus that surrounds all the organelles. Yeah, it's kind of like the water in a water balloon. When you put water in a water balloon, you know, it pumps it up and it kind of holds the balloon shape. That's how the cytoplasm kind of works. It fills up all the space in the cell that's not taken up by the organelles. Okay? And it's a clear fluid and it has kind of a thin gel-like consistency. Lots of stuff happens in the cytoplasm, but we won't actually be talking about that. The next one is the nucleus. Now, you will not find a nucleus in bacteria, so not in bacteria. All right, y'all, this is not a cell. This is the nucleus all by itself. All right, it contains the cell's DNA, so you'll actually find the chromosomes, which is your DNA, inside it, and it manages the cell's functions. The nucleus kind of acts like the brain of the cell. Your brain tells your entire body what to do and when to do it, all the different organs. That's what the nucleus does for the cell. Right? The nucleus is surrounded by a nuclear envelope. So it has its own special membrane around it, and that's a double membrane. It makes it a little bit different from the other organelles that it's double. All right, ribosomes, these are also found in all cells, no matter what. And ribosomes are tiny, tiny little organelles where proteins are built. So this is a nucleus. These little tiny yellow dots are the ribosomes. Ribosomes are truly tiny, but they are very, very important because a ribosome makes proteins. And y'all, one of the things that we're going to talk about eventually is the fact that proteins run the cell. So while the nucleus is the big part that does everything it's supposed to, ribosomes are making the proteins, and those are like the signals that talk about everything to the cell. So ribosomes can be found all over in the cell. And they are made by the nucleolus. That's this really little dark spot in here inside the nucleus. That's the nucleolus. The nucleolus makes ribosomes. And then ribosomes make proteins. So make sure you get that straight. The nucleolus makes ribosomes, and ribosomes make proteins. All right, next you have the endoplasmic reticulum, also called the ER. Now the ER is not found in bacteria. This is the nucleus, this little area down here. All this folded stuff out here around it. That's the endoplasmic reticulum. And it's a folded membrane, as you can see in the picture. And the folding allows it to have a very large surface area. And that's so that a lot of different chemical reactions can take place. The ER is a busy little place. It has, some parts of it have ribosomes, so it's busy making proteins. Other parts of it are busy making fats, which are lipids. Okay, so lots of chemical reactions. So as I said, there are two types. The first is the rough ER. That's the one with the ribosomes on it. So the rough ER, which is covered in these little ribosomes, that was going to be making proteins because of the ribosomes. And then the smooth ER, notice there's no little bumps on it. That's why it's smooth. The smooth ER does not have the ribosomes, and so it's going to have the enzymes on it for making lipids. So rough ER makes proteins, smooth ER makes lipids. All right, the Golgi body, again, not found in bacteria. All right, it's a little hard to tell here, but a lot of people think that it looks like a bunch of flattened sacks, all stacked together, kind of like pancakes. All right, and this is a cross section. Now, it's a series of stacked, flattened membrane sacks, and its job is to get the proteins that have just been made by ribosomes, the ER, and it gets those proteins in, it passes through, and then it sends those proteins to other parts of the cell. Now, the thing that's happening as that protein goes through the Golgi apparatus is that they're modified. They're kind of fixed up. So you get this little vesicle over here, slammed full of proteins. It attaches, the proteins work their way through all these sacs, and as they go through it, the Golgi apparatus is fixing the proteins. It's making them better. It's making them so that they'll work like they're supposed to. So it's doing a little rearranging and modifying and fixing of the proteins. And so when the proteins come out on the other side and they're put into new little sacs, okay, they're ready to do their jobs. Okay? So that's what's happening with the Golgi body or Golgi apparatus. See, there's two different words, Golgi body, Golgi apparatus. Mitochondria, which are not in bacteria, these are the organelles where food molecules are broken down to release energy. That process is called cellular respiration. So all the food you eat, your digestive system breaks it down into teeny tiny particles. Those teeny tiny particles go to your cells. In your cells, the mitochondria is actually able to pull the energy out of those food particles. And so since it's making the energy to run your cells, which run your body, it's called the powerhouse of the cell. So this is where all your energy comes from. Everything you do every day, all my moving around up here, that energy is coming from the mitochondria. All right, you have a cell wall. It is found in plants, fungi, and bacteria. Notice, animals do not have a cell wall. Okay, so on the inside is the cell membrane, and then you have this really thick outer layer. There's your cell wall. And it's a rigid structure found outside the cell membrane. It gives structure, support, and protection. Next are chloroplasts. These are found in plants. It says plants only, but actually they're found in some types of protists, specifically algae. Okay, so plants and algae, which is a protist, have chloroplasts. And a chloroplast transforms light energy into usable chemical energy. Okay, and it turns that into a food. That process is called photosynthesis. These little organelles right here make all the food, so all the energy that's available on this planet. Sunlight comes down, hits the chloroplast. The chloroplast can take the energy that's in that sunlight and turn it into food that now can power every living thing on this planet. Okay? I can't go stand in the sun and make energy. I just get hot and sweaty. All right? But the chloroplast can actually create energy that's usable. So photosynthesis is done in the chloroplast in plants and algae. All right? Green plants and algae. All right, vacuoles. All cells have vacuoles. They're little storage compartments. Only plants have a large central vacuole. So this great big huge one is special to plants. But even your cells, animal cells, have little ones. Okay, the vacuoles are sacs of fluid surrounded by membranes, and they're storage compartments. They store food and other materials. I like to think of these as closets. You know, everybody has the closets in your house and all the extra stuff gets stuffed into a closet. These are the closets of the cell. Some of them will hold food, some of them hold extra water, some of them will hold waste products until the cell can get rid of the waste. All right, so that's what vacuoles do. All right, then we have cilia and flagella. Now, these are mainly found in protists, but all different kingdoms, plants, animals, even bacteria, they can have some cilia or flagella. All right, so while you'll find them a lot in protists, special cells in humans have them. Special cells in plants have them. Okay, but they're used for locomotion, movement. All right, cilia are little short, numerous hair-like projections that come out of the plasma membrane. So all these little wiggly-looking things around the edges. Little short ones, lots of them. They move around. That is cilia. And then a flagella are longer whip-like projections. And they literally move with a whip-like motion, flapping kind of back and forth. That's how they move. I think of flagella moving a lot like a tadpole's tail. That's how flagella work. All right, and then finally you have bacteria. Now, in a lot of the cells, structures that we talked about, it said not in bacteria. That's because bacteria are very, very simple. Notice they don't have very much. They have cytoplasm, they have a cell membrane, they have flagella. See, they can have some flagella. They have a cell wall. They'll have some ribosomes in them, but they don't have a nucleus. They don't have any of those other things. So they have cell walls, cytoplasm and cell membrane, and genetic material, but they do not have a nucleus. And they don't have any of those other organelles. All right? So no other internal organelles. They do have flagella. All right, and then one thing I want to mention while we're talking about cells, because everybody hears about viruses, a virus is not a cell at all. They are not living things because they don't meet all the criteria for life. So you might look at this and think, well, it looks like a cell, but it's not. It is not a cell. The only thing that they have in common with cells at all is that they do have some genetic material. Right? That's it. They're not living. Okay. Look back through that as much as you need. Hopefully you'll ask me questions if you have any. And that's it for the organelles that we're going to be talking about.